Manik Jolly is with us, and let's try and understand. Let's try and look at the satellite images that Maxar has been able to pull out, and these are high-res images, viewers, which also show the amount of destruction Bharat has unleashed upon Pakistan's Air Force infrastructure. The Pakistan Air Force, nearly 20% of their infrastructure has been reduced to rubble. It has been targeted with pinpoint precision. So Major Manik Jolly, thank you very much for your time and thank you for coming. Let's try and understand one by one. Now this is the Bholari Airbase.
Yep.
Now what is the significance, first up, the importance of the Bholari Airbase? The other part is, now we see the before and after. So this is how the installation actually looked, and this is the post the strike. Clearly this looks like a hangar which was housing some, please.
So I think the biggest significance here is, generally, if you take a step back, right, Balakot. When we had Balakot strike, we were able to show the holes in the roof. This is struck, and everybody said, a lot of experts, that
correct,
this is only what we were showing, this is not much. Here we've shown the strike as well as the damage. So even that was this, to be honest, right? That's a very critical point. We just had a few images, and here we've gone even a step ahead to show the damage inside. So there is a possibility where people have zoomed this, and there is some asset which is inside, which has been destroyed.
So you're saying there is asset destroyed here?
Yes.
So there is an asset that's been destroyed here.
The precision of Indian Air Force, where they have launched this missile, definitely is not to break a building, right? So they've gone after this hangar because it could be, a critical asset there, and it looks like it could be AWACs, the AWACS, or it could be any of the surveillance.
So when you say AWACS, why are they critical?
So AWACS are the backbone of your surveillance system in air. They are at a lot of height. They monitor the entire battlefield. They are the ones that see what you are doing, what I am doing. They keep all the systems engaged in real time. And even your anti-aircraft, even your aircraft, even your ground positioning system, even your radars, everything is connected to them.
So the AWAC is the hub at the top in the skies, and it monitors and it can see more than 100 kilometers away what the enemy is doing?
So naturally, if you are at the top versus you are at a radar, you are at a much broader space to look into.
Correct.
And hence their criticality, they become such a critical asset of the entire electronic warfare system.
Right.
So if we have been able to take out that's a big achievement for Air Force.
Because
single-handedly this takes away the capability to monitor and run the battlefield.
So let's look at the Jacobabad Airbase. Now this is another airbase which many were not talking about, but now the Jacobabad Airbase has now come into conversation. This is Bholari, sorry, this is Jacobabad. Now again, this is a critical installation, and if you look at it very carefully, this also is quite big. This is a satellite image, so this is quite big. And look at the damage. It's now hit. Now if I hit this, does this mean the whole installation is gone, or does only this portion of the installation is hurt? How do you interpret this?
So I see it this way. Why not this building or that building? Our intelligence is pretty strong. And as I was saying yesterday, this is a combination of intelligence, capability and political will.
Now I'm just saying, viewers, think about this. We are looking at the picture and saying, okay, this has been destroyed, but Major Jolly is asking, why not this or why not this? Why only this was targeted? So please explain.
So this is a showcase of our intelligence and strike capability. We did not go after this or that building or something. We wanted to show that if we are going for the middle where you've housed this is not a hangar, this is not a typical hangar, right? This is not a place where you would be storing in common language, planes would be. This looks like a control center.
So this is a possible control center. Please speak. Continue.
So if they are, again, if they are going after this, it means single strike taking out the control station of the entire airbase. And if you do not have a control base, you cannot take off. You don't know how, you're flying blind, right? It's like World War II.
So this is perhaps the most critical portion of the, and that's how strong the intelligence is. Viewers, Major Jolly is saying there is a reason why this building and this building was not touched. Only this structure was pinpoint precision attacked, because this is possible that this was the control and command area or main communication center. So unless you have communications, if there is no ATC, can flights take off? That's exactly what. If there is no command center operating there at an airbase, can any of the machines even take off? That cannot happen. So that's perhaps the biggest damager.
This is a step ahead of ATC, right? This is the air control station where all the operation commanders would sit, look at the radars, and they would say, okay, you go here, you get the air strike, air defense does this missile here. If you take that out, there is nothing to manage the entire air ops. So this is our message to them also, that we are not just going after your planes. We can take out even the control stations. This is part of that.
So Jacobabad this way is actually rendered blind. Let's look at the next one. This is Nur Khan. Now Nur Khan, we have to tell our viewers, Nur Khan, this is Rawalpindi. So they say that this is situated between Pindi and Islamabad, but many would say this is perhaps the nerve center, Rawalpindi, nerve center of the Pak armed forces.
True.
Is this the place where Munir's bunker, Munir went into a bunker here? Munir went into bunker here. Okay. Why? And why is this critical? What has been targeted here?
I think this is, here they have gone after air assets. Because you see the size of the thing, right?
This is quite big.
And that building looks like kind of, in my understanding, is kind of hangars, right? And they are front facing to runway. This could have been they've gone after critical assets here.
So are these hangars?
Looks like.
Okay, hangars. So hangars because clearly some air machines are there inside.
When we are going for a strike, the intelligence is solid. You are going after solid targets, not just any. You're going after F-16s, you're going after refuelers, you're going after AWACS. You're trying to take out the things, the assets which are critical for running air operations, air stations. So if they've gone here, it has three meanings. One, we can hit your nerve center, which is supposed to protect your the base, right? Second, we've taken out a critical asset that renders you incapable.
Correct.
And third, since we have rendered you incapable, now we can come and hit you again. So do whatever you can, but now you are handicapped that way.
So and these machines can't take off.
Impossible.
And they are rendered useless. So you are there defenseless and bare. That's the case. Now many viewers watching this would ask, agar they were so bare, wapas jaake thoka kyun nahi? Why didn't we hit them again? But that's a different explanation. So this is where it is. So this is Rawalpindi. Munir went into a bunker soon after this had happened. Because this was perhaps the nerve center, critical installations, and it's not that this was the only hit.
No, it was.
This is just the only image. This is the image of one of the possible installations or thing that was hit at the Nur Khan Airbase.
Nur Khan, I think there are runway hits also.
So there are hits on the runway also in Nur Khan, but this is one of the pictures, and again a critical installation. Again, if you see, it's a cluster of buildings, but what's been hit is here. This is what's been hit. It's not that they've hit here, hit anywhere. This is possible outflow for the aircraft to come out.
So the positioning and the size.
This is the actual width.
That these are possibly hangars. And see the crater here, right? See the crater here. So and you see, remember the picture from Jacobabad?
Correct.
There you had a structure very different from this.
Correct. If you were to compare and contrast this structure with the Jacobabad structure, see, just viewers, just mind this. Look how the layout of this place is, and let's just go back one sec. Let's just go back to pictures, and this is Bholari, this is Jacobabad.
See.
So the structure is very different.
So while this hit had a different meaning, that had something that we are taking out assets. While both could be opposite actually, but we are going after control stations as well as the air assets.
Air assets. So somewhere from where you are controlling, commanding and operating the entire airbase, and somewhere where you have critical assets, where the enemy has critical assets, that needs to be targeted so that they those assets cannot be airborne at the time of need, and then they are rendered, the enemy is rendered defenseless. Now let's understand Sargodha. Sargodha, the most popular image is this crater. This is perhaps, look at the size, this is the runway, and look at the size of the crater. This is huge, this crater. Please.
This is actually very huge. This is, I mean, I don't know if everybody is getting the feel of it, that how big this crater is with a single hit. That is the capability of the missiles that we've sent. Now what this does do, it is not like fighter jet runways are not like normal roads. So there's a lot of buzz that is being, there's a crater, why can't they fill it up? It doesn't work like that. There are almost 5 to 6 layers in which it makes it, because the amount of force with which fighters land, you have to have specialized runway. They can't do it on every road, right? So by creating such a massive crater here, you've rendered it useless. Second, what you've done is, they've stuck around also, here and there.
Right.
You've shown that if you try to repair it, we will strike you again. So this crater will stay as an open testament of our capability, and we will not let you repair also.
We will not let you repair also.
So
Okay.
when you demolish the air defense capability and also hit the air asset and flying capability, I think you put them in a position that this is broken down and we can't even repair. Sargodha is there, one of the crown jewels, because this is what will give flight to the nuclear assets.
Nuclear assets.
Yeah.
This is where the Kirana Hills are here. Okay.
Around there.
But
So
the Air Marshal's operation said he didn't know where it was.
Yeah, so we also don't know.
We also don't know. We are just making a supposition that it is here.
Yeah, so but we sent a message that 20 kilometers won't matter to us, you know.
Right. Now this is the Sukur Airbase. Again, the structure that's been targeted is very different. Yeah.
So this also, I mean, this looks a kind of a control station. I don't see this as a pathway to anything else. But it could be also housing their, you know, AVACs, if possibly.
Okay.
But I cannot say for confirmation.
So AVACs, is it possible AVACs that have been destroyed here? So that's the big question in this segment. Again, it looks very clear. This has not been targeted. This has. So choices we can choose. I want to break this or this. I decide to go for this. That's the level of precision we are also showing.
This is the one thing I'm not sure what were the assets here. But here, I think the point was message that we can go for here, we can go for here, wherever we want.
Jahan mood karega, wahan thok denge. So, all right, now let's quickly move across and try and understand the air defense. Now, Major Jolly says on there, viewers, I think it's important for us to understand that one is the strike capability. So, everybody talks about BrahMos and the cruise missile, the liquid propelled cruise missile that perhaps worked for us. We don't know. They have not said that they've used BrahMos. We're assuming that that missile system in terms of supersonic speeds could not be defended and the Pakistanis couldn't do anything. The other fact is, Major Jolly, we've spoken about this, so let's try and understand this in detail quickly. The importance of the missile defense systems, our air defense systems. So, does it start straight away with an S-400, or are there multiple layers which then, based on the asset that is coming to attack us, then there is a gradation or there is a graded escalation of the defense also, defense layer also?
Yeah, so, you know, without getting into too much details of layers, think of it that way. You have an enemy who's throwing different kind of weapons on you. So you would not want to employ your most critical and costly asset to destroy even the smallest of the radar. Your the drone. Your drone costs maybe $5,000, $2,000. Your missile is worth millions.
Right.
So you have a different set of arms and armament, weapon systems that are specifically deployed to destroy different kinds of incoming projectiles or missiles or drones and all.
Right.
The drone swarm, the Turkish drone swarm, let's say, they sent around thousands of them, right? 1,000 plus, I think.
Right.
All of them were taken out by Zeus or Shilkas and, you know.
Okay, so what are Zeus, what are Shilkas, what are T-70s? We're going to just pause for a bit here. We're just going to pause for a bit here. It's not straight away to the S-400. An S-400 goes into crores, millions of dollars is a cost. Will you take a 2.5-3 lakh rupee drone and will you use a crores worth missile to drop and that too when they come in swarms like this, 500 plus drones that was sent. So there are basic air guns, and we also had the DGMO very clearly say the traditional air defense systems also came good. The Shilkas, he mentioned the Shilkas, the T-70s, the 23 Zeus, all of that. Major Jolly, we just pause for a bit here. Rahul Shivshankar is also with us and he's got a very special guest. So let's go to that and then we come back here.
Yeah, thanks indeed. Sorry for interrupting you guys. That was a fantastic discussion going on there, and I wish I could have joined you because it was really, really insightful. But we're joined by Lauren Amos, who's in India specialist. She's a foreign policy expert. Thank you very much for joining me. There are many, Ms. Amos, there are many who are saying that if India was in such a strong position against Pakistan, why did it agree to what is effectively a ceasefire without preconditions? That is what is being said here in our country. First, what is your assessment of the Indian military action and its subsequent decision to agree to an understanding, so to speak, that has led to a ceasefire?
So thank you so much for having me here. It's a complex answer, but it's very straight. I don't think that India went to ceasefire without agreements, without conditions. Okay. As you can see, this crisis, it's not the usual crisis between India and Pakistan. It's a strategic shift that India did in the foreign policy, in the strategy, defense policy. India responds not only with military efforts, but with a clear message. Terrorism will no longer be treated in a separate issue. It's an act of war, and it's very important. It's this very big shift in the foreign policy and defense policy that Narendra Modi brought to India. Even now, we can see in the de-escalation, India is showing that it's not a weakness; it is strength. On India terms. I think India went from this crisis very strong, actually.
Very strong. Well, there is a lobby here that says that India should have signed a formal, they should have dragged Pakistan to the table and signed a formal ceasefire agreement in writing. How realistic and responsible is this observation?
I think that if India wants to be a responsible country, which is, she needs to do something with the Sindoor agreement and the Shimla agreement. It's very important because this agreement was the basic talking with India and Pakistan during a crisis time. And it's very important that you should go back to the table, and you will see what can you bring now, which kind of new agreements about the Indus agreement and Shimla agreement. So before the ceasefire, I think these two agreements are very important.
My final question, do you see parallels between India's action after Pahalgam attack and what Israel did after October 7?
I think that India and Israel, not for the first time, are dealing with the extreme radicalism, Islamic. And I think India and Israel should do a deeper relationship in the security issues and the policy issues and the economy issues, because they are dealing with the same threats. October 7, it's for India, it's like a Mumbai attack, right. And like 9/11, and like you did deal now with the Kashmir issue. And I think for both of the country need to do much deeper a relationship now, because it's very important and we can do better for each other. We can learn from India, and India can learn from us in the field of battle, of course. As you can see in this combat, a lot of things that Israel and India went together to do things was successfully showed the means and the prove ourselves, the relationship prove ourselves in this combat field.
Well, thank you, Ms. Amos, for joining us here on CNN News 18 with your comments, very valued comments. Thank you very much. Viewers, we're taking a very short break, and then we'll have Anand and the Major back.
Network 18 is now the clear leader in digital media, with 55% more users on native platforms and social media than Times Internet. Network 18, the undisputed leader of news networks, way ahead of the times. This is News 18 Network. India's largest news network.
Right now, we're getting some more breaking news on the broadcast. We're learning that after Chinese outlets, India has blocked Turkish public broadcaster TRT World. An important piece of update we had been learning on how there were blockages of certain media outlets that was reported from India, and now the very latest, because of the kind of support that Turkey is giving to Pakistan, now we are learning that the account of TRT World 2 has been blocked in India. Siddhant has more details. Yes, Siddhant.
Well, that's right, Reha. In fact, this decision has been taken by the Indian government. In fact, in the morning we reported that how Chinese mouthpiece, Global Times, social media accounts were blocked by the Indian government. Then we have also been told that Xinhua, the other Chinese mouthpiece, its accounts have also been banned by the Indian government. Now we are getting to know that the crackdown has taken place on Turkish broadcaster TRT's social media accounts, and in fact we are not able to access these accounts on X and on various other platforms. Perhaps the reason could be that in last 1 week we have seen that how Pakistanis have used TRT to peddle lies and disinformation against India. In fact, I would like to cite two recent examples. Muzammil Ayub Thakur, a known ISI stooge, perhaps gave interview to TRT and speaks against Hindus, spreads venom against Hindus and Indian government. Perhaps spreads lies and propaganda about Kashmir, and toes the same line which perhaps is sent to him by ISI and Pakistani army. The second recent example is the claim made by Ishaq Dar. If you remember, Reha, when there was tension between the two countries, and right after the 7th of May, perhaps Ishaq Dar gave interview to TRT World and said that both sides' NSAs are in touch. Now, in the times when India had struck 8 of the terror camps in POJK and POK, and Pakistan has responded to that, and again India has struck more army areas deep in Pakistan. In these times, Pakistan's foreign minister giving an interview to TRT and perhaps confirming that both the NSAs are in touch. Perhaps that was denied by Foreign Secretary, I beg your pardon, Vikram Misri. He very clearly said that I don't have any information about the claims made by Ishaq Dar. So TRT was a very, very how should I put it? Very, very important tool for the Pakistani army, ISI, in last 1 week.
Okay.
They have been misusing it to spread propaganda and lies. It was a very comfortable platform for them to come on it and speak whatever they want to speak. There's going to be no counter question coming from the anchors and the journalists. Perhaps this could be one reason. This is my assessment of the things.
So has the Ministry of INB formally announced this blockage? How does it work from here on, Siddhant?
Well,
How is it that Bharat was able to negate and ensure that 90% of the missiles, projectiles, loitering munitions, drones that were sent by Pakistan over across Bharat's military installations, all the way from Jammu and Kashmir down till Bhuj in Gujarat, is a big question, and that's the reason why we are trying to get to understand how our multi-layered defense system has been portrayed. We had it was explained brick by brick, layer by layer, ashes to ashes, dust to dust. That's what the DGMO quoted, that saying, if Lily don't get here, Tomo must. But in this case, how is it that it works here? Something that's coming from about 400 kilometers away, and something that's right there up at our over our heads, and we saw a lot of people living there, the air guns negating it. Now, Major Jolly, how does this work? You please tell us. Major Manik Jolly is with us. Our indigenous weapon system, and do we have something like an Iron Dome that the Israelis have? How has this been created?
So, I don't think Iron Dome is the benchmark now.
Okay.
We have something even better than them.
Akash Tir.
Yeah, because the depth and the stretch of Israel, India's border around which this happened is much bigger actually. And they have a much bigger, see, in a basic projectile, if you're firing something really long, you can fire it from behind and you can hit into deep. So that gives even Pakistan the advantage to fire larger missiles and something.
Right.
Like they tried with Shaheen and all.
Yeah.
But in same way, that is not possible in Israel. You need to have a certain height and to achieve that parabola. But here we were actually negotiating much more complicated, the attack than Israelis had to. So what I'm trying to say is that our defense system is the new benchmark, not Iron Dome. What we have achieved
So
is
this
phenomenal.
Sudarshan Chakra that Bharat has built is perhaps the new benchmark.
Yeah.
That one of the other wheels will get you off the chakra. That's
So
how it is the defensive
integrated
chakra.
air command system, right?
Yeah.
These are the people who monitor. So the threat is like this. You have one tiny drone taking off from here.
Right.
You have a missile Shaheen taking off from there.
Huh.
You have a smaller projectile taking off from there. All that is monitored by the command and control system, which is manned by mostly aircraft guys. They share the data with Army Air Defense also and the Air Defense in Air Force also.
Right.
And depending on what is the kind of a threat, let's say the most economical and the most efficient system engages it.
So in this case, say a drone would cost anywhere based on the amount of munition and the technicality, say about ₹1.5 lakh to about 5, 10, 20 lakhs, 10 lakh rupees based on the complexity.
Yeah.
So for a 10 lakh rupees or like you said, $2,000 to $5,000 drone, one is not going to use a projectile or a defense munition which goes into say lakhs of dollars,
Yes.
if not millions.
Yeah.
Right. So what's the basic one that we have? Traditional, is it an air gun or 23 Zoo 23?
We have Zoo 23s, we have Pechoras, that's been told, L-70s.
And the Shilkas.
Shilkas.
Shilkas are the same as the.
So these are the traditional
Zoo 23, right?
mounted guns, which are, couple of them are laser guided also. They fire hundreds of rounds in a minute. The principle of air defense is you don't target. You saturate the area with, lead. Which the projectile comes and a drone comes and hit it on its way.
Correct. So like where if you see trap shooting, no?
Yeah.
So in trap shooting you go and follow the trajectory.
Yeah.
But there it's only one shot that is done and the trap has to be hit based on the trajectory.
Yeah.
Here you're saying that our air guns that they are there can fire multiple rounds.
Yes, hundreds of them.
So if it's mounted on a Shilka, that's mounted on an armored vehicle. So that's how it's a Shilka,
Yes.
right? And it's mobile.
Yeah.
So what it does is it just floods the whole area with fire, so that if the drone is moving in a particular trajectory, it will be caught. If this doesn't catch, the next one will,
exactly.
or that one. So that's the basic air gun or the Shilka, how it works. So Zoo 23.
The speed at which, fine, now we are targeting drone. 30 years back, there were no drones. You were hitting, trying to hit low flying projectiles, low flying planes. In that, the speed is so much. The calculation is so complicated because a lot of things is not. There are some laser guidance available, but the computation is not strong.
Why don't you come closer to me if standing too far away? So as you come closer and walk here this way, Major Jolly. So then let's try and look at this is how the Shilka looks over the. What you're trying to say is it's a self-propelled system with 4 23mm auto cannons. So that's how the Shilka looks, and it's got 4 guns like this.
Yeah.
Each can fire 4,000 rounds per minute or 3,000 rounds. No.
I think somewhere around 3 or
3,000 rounds. 3,000 rounds.
Exactly.
So I don't have just one gun.
Yeah.
I have 4 guns.
Yeah.
So the ability is to fire about 12,000 rounds in a minute.
Yes. So.
And they don't fire at the same time.
Another word I love, what self-propelled means. Once the laser has locked down, once the system, it'll keep following it. Like even though some drones are remote controlled.
Correct.
If he's trying to navigate through the fire, the gun will keep following it and keep laying the, lead around it, that somehow it will hit, and the success rate has been pretty high actually.
Pretty high. But what happens if it's a swarm? This time what we saw is mini swarms of 25, 30. Right.
So we also go in multiple ways, right?
Okay.
This is one system that is taking on. Then we've seen there has been mention of anti-drone rifles, right? I'm sure they have been very effective at the station, because what even PM Modi said or DGMO said, that fine, you can cross 1, 2, but when you reach the last layer, right, like really doesn't get him.
Yeah, Thomo must.
There's a guy standing here who will take out that tiny drone.
Take out that tiny drone. So there is these air guns which are being shot. There is a Shilka, and what is the range of these guns? How much? 2 kilometers? Say 20 kilometers?
I think they're 3 to 5 kilometers.
3 to 5 kilometers.
But then again, depends on the guns which we are using. I don't know the exact ones that are deployed there, but they are pretty effective because they've been. If you remember, a few years back, there was a drone attack on Jammu airport.
Okay, so now let me ask you, Major. Okay, now it's done with the drones. Then there are some heavier UAVs and also planes. Now, what happens there? what's the next level that we move, say, from a air gun and a Zu-23 and a Shilka? What's the next? We get to...
So the prince of Indian defense system, that is air defense system, Akash takes on.
Akash takes on. So Akash takes on. In between that, the L-70s and the MR-SAMs, they are all higher than the Akash,
No,
so they're part of the Akash.
So they are part of the Akash system.
It's Akash system.
Yeah,
Okay.
but because you mentioned planes, so I was saying that would, so anything that is missile, plane or something, missile system has to take on.
Okay.
The speed and the projectile are, the guns would not be able to take it on.
Okay. So the Samar is also part of Akash Tir.
Samar is part of Akash.
Samar is part of Akash Tir. So if you look at Akash Tir and try and break it down, so Samar as an air defense system, it's a surface to air missile, and then the L-70s also come into play here. Well,
Yes.
As the size of the projectile or the machine goes bigger.
L-70 is a very potent weapon system actually. If you're talking about drones, so drones don't typically go thousands of kilometers like planes or missiles would go. They are low flying, and L-70s are very effective against them. Yeah.
But once we come into the Akash Tir system, so that also has grades?
It has grades in a way. We spoke about the surveillance system. Right?
Correct.
The surveillance system, what it does, it calculates the projectile speed and where it is going to go actually. Where did it take off? It's like phenomenal system, right? So the moment something takes off, it understands where it's going. The same principle, Iron Dome also works. Iron Dome calculates if these things have taken off, where are they going? If something is falling, let's say in the sea or open field, it will not target that. It will immediately go to the one that is coming into the civilian population or populated areas.
Correct.
These systems do that. They have a phenomenal computation system, which is the one we have to go after.
Right.
And that's what, and then they pass on the same information to the weapon system, and then they go ahead and engage them.
Right. And then what are these counter unmanned aircraft systems? What do they do? Is there so they also have these kind of counter unmanned aircraft systems that track, identify, neutralize UAV drones, or is this all part of an integrated system that is now called Akash Tir?
I have never read about it too much, so I would not like to give wrong information. But as the word mentions, I think these are automated systems. Like as we have enough technology on that, you deploy them, and even if you are like almost everything is
the fact that they are unmanned, that means they don't need to be monitored. If they are activated, they will sense activity in the sky, and they have the ability and the intelligence to identify what's hostile and what's not.
You see that in sci-fi things, right?
Right.
You have these guns deployed. The moment the spaceship is coming, they'll start firing.
Correct.
This is pretty much on the same lines. You pass the information of the projectile coming in and the drone coming in, and they take on.
Right. In this case, how is this system so good? And this is a question I've had in my mind, that the Pakistanis were using and hiding behind civilian aircraft. So they were flying civilian aircraft. The Prime Minister mentioned this. The DGMOs mentioned this in their briefing. How were our defense systems able to separate and isolate a civilian aircraft and then still work around it and target the hostiles?
I think that's the quality of tech that we have developed, because in airspace, you see, never in the history of last 40-50 years, the airspace has been so dominated. You had Gulf or Desert Storm or Israel. There was a lot of gap between the air superiority of one versus the another. It was Russia, Ukraine, something. In India and Pakistan, it was supposed to be contested.
Correct.
Right? We were equal powers, as they used to say. They were known for their air defense. We've demolished that. So the point is, we have developed tech to that level, that, and also civilian jets or commercial planes flying in the airspace would have been a consideration that all these DRDO and all would have done. So distinguishing that, there have been accidents where US shot a Iran plane.
Correct.
Ukraine ke upar hua tha. Right? We still don't know what happens to MS-370. So,
correct.
So there have been incidents. So I think this is the pace at which Indian tech is working. I'm like really impressed. They've catered this also now, that if in the war zone, in the airspace,
there is a civilian aircraft,
we'll bypass it or avoid it and let it go.
Or we will wait for the response to perhaps come a little closer and still shoot it down. And that's perhaps could have happened, that many people are asking कि अगर हमारा defense system इतना अच्छा है तो अंदर कैसे आ गए? How did these projectiles come over the Indian skies? Perhaps one of the explanation is that, boss, because there was this case, we would allow them to come, perhaps move away from the civilian aircraft system or civilian aircraft and then neutralize them.
And also there's a optimum point at which in the parabola where you hit it, right? So let's say it takes off certain
So when you
missiles.
say optimum part in the parabola is that this is the loop. So this
Yeah,
is the
this is the
parabola.
loop.
So this is coming like this.
So
yeah.
this is the loop, right? And this is your defense system, your
Right.
anti-aircraft system. It takes off here from, let's say, Rawalpindi,
Huh.
and it's targeting, let's say, Adampur. Right?
Correct.
You will not hit it right here. Your computation, your range capability will calculate which is the optimum point to hit it. That can be inside your territory.
Right.
So that does not mean, like we say, drone sighted. Drone sighted means nothing. We have taken them all out.
Correct.
Hence, same way, even if it is inside your territory, but you destroyed it, that's what matters.
Correct.
So that is left to the experts there who are calculating all the computer systems.
Right. Now we're going to wind up, but let's just quickly do a summary, a quick summary of all that we've been able to put together, not just in terms of defense, but also offense. So let's try and understand, and we'll call out this entire graphic here that we've just put together, starting with the top. So the top end of this entire Sudarshan Chakra is the S-400 Triumph.
Yeah.
Now, so S-400 perhaps is the last bastion. So
Yeah.
something like a ballistic missile gets taken down by an S-400.
There is one thing I want to tell
Ji.
you, right, which everybody should know. We have something called BrahMos.
Yeah,
Nobody in the world has answer to that.
correct.
Everybody should just know that.
Yeah.
We have not used it till now officially, but the day a Sukhoi, only Sukhoi can take it. It's a
Correct.
heavy message.
Yeah, 2.2 ton,
Yeah.
that's the weight.
The
yeah.
day Sukhoi takes off with a BrahMos on it,
Yeah.
nobody in the world has answered to
Yeah, because it's a supersonic
Yeah,
missile, and that too a liquid cruise missile that can fly like an aircraft.
Yeah.
We had Dr. Sudhir Mishra explain that to us, and I was fascinated to understand that. But this is the S-400 system that also tracks about 100 to 300 targets simultaneously up to a range of 600 kilometers.
Up to a range.
And we have a battery already. We have 3 batteries in place. And we're going to get more. We're going to add more.
I'll just mention this
Yeah.
here. There's another Kusha
Yeah.
program which is coming up, which is supposed to be delivered by 2028, 29, 21,000 crore was sanctioned in 2022. That is a step up from S-400, and that's totally indigenous.
Indigenous.
Yeah, so what S-400 cannot do, Kusha will do.
Kusha
Matter
will
of
do.
4 more years.
Matter of 4 more years, what an S-400 cannot do, that a Kusha will do.
Yeah.
And it's a matter of time, perhaps a few months, that a Bhargavastra also gets added to our entire arsenal.
Yes.
Because it's already been successfully tested. So let's try and look at this one. This perhaps is an example to the world.
Yeah.
The Akash Tir and the
I've
Akash
been
missile.
calling it Prince of our air defense.
Prince of our air defense.
Yeah.
This is the world must be now coming to Bharat, say let's partner, allow us to make this. Is this also somewhere a testament to our indigenous defense capabilities in terms of tech, in terms of research, and in terms of if there is opportunity given and private players are encouraged, Bharat can actually lead the way in terms of defense technology.
Whatever happened last 2 weeks is going to change the defense market. Nobody's going after PL-15s now. Everybody lining up to India, we need some Akash. We should ramp up the production. We should invite more private players. We should just go for it at for whoever our partners are and allies are. This is how, defense industry matures. You showcase a weapon system in a battlefield, and we have shown how useless your HQ-9 was, how useless your PL-15s were. Go for Akash. Go for BrahMos.
Go for BrahMos. So let's talk about BrahMos. BrahMos, you say, is something that only Russia has because this is Brahma and Moskova, Brahmaputra and Moskova. The name BrahMos comes from the combination of, because it's an India-Russia strategic partnership, Brahmaputra and the Moskova river. So that's how BrahMos comes through. But now it's manufactured here.
Yeah.
It's manufactured here. This is Bharat's technology,
Yes.
and only Russians have it, and Bharat has it.
Yeah.
Correct?
Yeah.
But iska tod kisi ke paas nahi hai.
किसी के पास नहीं है. I was yesterday when this happened, I wrote a tweet that I'll go out on a limb and say even US does not have it. Fine, I was trying to be reasonable, but if a BrahMos takes off, you have nobody stopping that.
Nobody's stopping that.
Nobody's stopping
So
that.
we never know whether the Pakistanis got a feeling of it or not, got a taste of it, not some of the damage that's been done, because the BrahMos flies like the Rafale.
And imagine
that's what it can do.
This is the damage without BrahMos.
This is as of now, as of now,
yeah.
as of now. So and of course the Rafale, we're going to add more to their fleet.
Yes.
This aircraft, does this set us apart in terms of our air power?
A multi-role aircraft, it's a fantastic thing. I think it is, after a lot of consideration, Indian Air Force went for it.
Yeah.
And I pretty much see that they should be making another case for it, that let's go for some more. And
Yeah.
the government should approve it as they've proved their worth in gold in the last.
Yeah, they've already ordered it for the Navy about
Yeah.
28,
Yeah.
so they should add perhaps a few more squadrons
Yeah,
of the Rafale.
now it makes no sense for government to say no if we need another squadron. Go for it.
Yeah, maybe they should just also roll out the Tejas. The LCA has also come out. It has also got the capability to carry.
So this is the longest debate, right?
Yeah.
Make in India versus import. I know everybody fights about it, but there's a balance.
Yeah.
You can get the best tech and continue developing yours till the time you reach there.
Right.
You cannot compromise on your defense because you favor one.
Right. We got limited time. We're going to pause with this last conversation on UAVs and loitering munitions. Do you believe that we need to really amp up? We have a concentrated drone policy. There are drone manufacturers in our country. In terms of surveillance, in terms of attack capability, in terms of hovering capability, do we need to really have more than perhaps 1 million drones, if not more?
Yeah. I was about to say why not million, but you said it well. The thing is the efficacy of drone has been shown in swarms, right? So if Pakistan sent 1,000, we were able to shoot 98% of them. We should take out 10,000 for every attack. If we have the money, we have the capability, build them in so much numbers. Next battlefields are going to be with drone, missiles, fighter jets, maybe space command.
More unmanned and more tech-driven.
unmanned,
More tech-driven.
So I think drone is one of the things government should push very hard for, and in multiple designs and in multiple roles actually. So that'll be great.
Now these are what? This is the grand old technology. This is like the analog
Spider.
of defense, isn't it?
Yeah.
If I may say, the analog of defense. So when all communication breaks down, you go to Morse code and you go to shortwave.
Yes.
So this is what the Spider is.
Very traditional, right? So Spider is very traditional, and we have much better system than the Spider ones. I think they're Israeli.
The Israeli systems.
Yeah.
So we have the traditional, we have the imports, we have the indigenous, and we have top of the line tech. So this is like a layer and a chakra.
Somewhere in between there's Barak also.
There's Barak also. Barak. They say Barak for the naval capabilities. Here it is partly combined with the Akash Tir and MR.
But we are very well settled that way.
We are settled that way. We are settled that way. All in all, feels very, very good, viewers. On that note, we're going to Major Jolly. Thank you so much. This has been a fantastic conversation and perhaps little collar up moment for all of us. And proud of our indigenous tech and the scientists who are working tirelessly behind this, and those in the private space who are also contributing to Bharat's defense capabilities. Big salute to that. Thank you. We're going to take a very, very short break. Pause here. When we come back, it's Plain Speak.